Good morning, my friends. Welcome back. It is time for us to get our minds aligned with the truth of God. My name is Kerry Green. If you're new to the morning mindset, I might be able to speak today. My tongue's a little tied. Welcome. I'm glad you are here. This is a ministry that is listener supported. You can find out more about how to join us as a partner with the Morning Mindset by looking at the description for this episode. We are looking at 2 Peter chapter 2. And the Apostle Peter has been doing us a great favor by explaining to us why false teachers are so bad. And he's just begun to give us a little bit of a peek behind the curtain, so to speak, as to see what's behind these false teachers, why they are doing the things they're doing. And for me, anyway, that's kind of an important thing. I like to know people's motives, because motives tell us a lot about the person and what's really going on in a situation. So we are continuing in 2 Peter chapter 2, and Peter has just explained how these false teachers are bold and willful. They despise authority. They're indulging in some kinds of lusts of defiling passion, Peter explains. And then in verse 12, he says, these, like irrational animals, creatures of instinct, born to be caught and destroyed, are blaspheming about matters of which they are ignorant, and they will also be destroyed in their destruction. Now, I think there's some very interesting things to notice here. Peter describes these false teachers as running off of instinct. Now, I look around us in the world, and I see part of human nature, something you might call instinct, is to push oneself forward. We see that in the political arena. We see it in talk shows. We see it in sporting events. I mean, we don't have to go on, do we? We see it everywhere. People have this instinct, this desire to push themselves forward. And there are all kinds of psychological reasons for that as well. You know, maybe they feel insecure, and so they're trying to puff themselves up, and on and on and on it goes. Now, despite what the reasons may be, Peter's pointing out that that's the same thing that happens with a false teacher. They're operating by instinct. But look at the description that he gives of these people. He says they are born to be caught and destroyed. Now, he's following along with that wild animal imagery that he's already introduced. He's saying they're blaspheming about matters of which they're ignorant, but will also be destroyed in their destruction. So blasphemy, do we know what that word is? Let's make sure. Blasphemy is speaking in a disrespectful or false way about divine things. Okay, so things having to do with God. So these people, these false teachers, are so driven by their own desire to push themselves forward that they are willing to stand, in a sense, toe-to-toe with God and to malign the things he has put in place, to mock them, to come against them in some way. And it may not always be obvious. I mean, remember, they are false teachers, and they are within the church. So they're fooling people into thinking they're a legitimate teacher, when in reality, this is what's going on behind the scenes. They're ignorant, and yet they're blaspheming against God in those areas. And Peter makes a very interesting comment right here at the end. He says they will also be destroyed in their destruction. Now, that may sound a little redundant until you stop and think it through. Peter has already said these people are bringing destruction to the church. And I think what he's saying is they are going to be eventually caught up in their own net, so to speak. They are going to be trapped by their very own trickery. And I think what he's likely referring to is what we've seen happen with cult leaders, how they actually come to believe what it is they're teaching, and they get caught up in it as well. Folks, false teaching is a danger for all of us, and it is something we've got to be on guard about. And the best antidote, my friends, is to stay close to Jesus. When we know the real deal, we can't be fooled by the counterfeit. My friends, draw close to him today. Use the morning mindset. Use other resources to draw close to him today. That's my prayer for you. And I invite you to invite a friend to join you on the journey in listening to the Morning Mindset.